Hello and welcome to the third now in our series of, ramblings, essentially. We're going to talk this week something slightly less serious. Syria already?
Something less.
This is why I shouldn't introduce.
Something less Syria.
We're not talking about Syria. We've done war. We're talking about something less serious.
We're trying to AIDS this show in being less Syria.
Oh, fuck that up straight away. We're going to talk about moving to Australia, the common pitfalls. There are a lot of articles out there about things to expect when you move to other countries. A lot about Australia, a lot about America, due to cultural differences.
And I'm sure there's a lot of things that we take for granted here, which are just realities that I'm sure would be quite baffling to someone for the first time. So I'm really excited to hear.
It's a baffling country, if I'm honest. But there's.
It is. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to argue with you about that.
Well, I'm sure England's equally as baffling.
But it's politely baffling.
Well, you've got to be polite. But there's a lot of cultural differences between essentially what are very similar countries like America, Australia, and England. And Australia, what I've noticed, has been quite heavily Americanized.
It has. No, I completely agree. And
probably due to the television, I think.
Well, early on in the 20th century, there was a big drive for us to adopt American spellings. Like we actually,
I know, terrible.
And that's why the Labour Party doesn't have a U in it. It's the Labour Party. Well, it was mainly because it was...
They've lost any credibility.
It was kind of based upon the American Labour movement, but we actually wanted to adopt all of the spellings as well. We wanted to go with the full, let's get rid of the U's, let's add a Z into everything, call it a Z.
Oh,
You hate it.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen you go that colour scarlet before. It was...
It's the anger of putting a Z and calling it a Z.
That's the angriest you'll ever see a British
I really
person.
want JZ. I want him to be called JZ.
JZ, yeah.
It's terrible.
It doesn't have the same ring when you're telling people you want to go to sleep though. Like, I'm going to catch some Zs. It's a bit...
Well, I don't think anyone in England would say I'm going to catch some Zs. I think I'm going to bed or I'm going to sleep. It's suffice.
I'm going to my bedroom.
I'm going to Bedfordshire. There's normal ones.
We call it Beto or something.
Beto.
Get a Beto.
Oh god. Yeah, that's definitely one thing you have to look out for. Be prepared to not understand words due to shortenings, O's. Shortenings isn't what I mean, but you know.
It's too hot for syllables, mate.
This is what I've heard. It's too hot for syllables, but often you have to expel a lot of hot air to explain the fucking things. We're going to discuss a few things that's happened to me from last time I was here and this time, and see if Hamish has come across any things like that as well. So obviously, the language is definitely the main one. It's essentially the same language. It's English.
Yeah.
And the clues in the title there, but it's bastardized, if I'm honest, in certain ways. I discussed a couple of weeks ago, didn't I, about Kindy for kindergarten. Watching the news, the weather it's going to be hot in Tassie.
Actually, yeah, I'd never really considered because newsreaders generally, they are quite colloquial in their presentations, so that'd be quite confusing for you.
In England, the news is quite serious.
Hey, man, we've got some fucking low pressure air coming up here with some isobars, for 1,138 hectopascals.
Well, this is the terrible thing. I don't know if we're going to lose listeners over this, but I'm going to say it.
We don't have any listeners. What are you talking about?
That's true. This is for our own benefit. But there was an article in England about where the Australian accent came from. And I don't know if you know this. Obviously, not much of a punishment, I'll be nice, but a punishment for petty crimes, theft usually, was to be extradited to Australia.
Yeah, which in those days was like being sent to Mars almost. It was a long trip.
Red landscape, sand, hot.
I think I saw in one of the museums in London, I can't remember which, but it actually had a timeline of how long it took to get to Australia through various means. It was something like 3 months by sail ship.
And that was how it was. You were
so by sail
literally exiled.
It was about 3 months, 3 weeks by steam, and then obviously much quicker by aeroplane.
But they weren't around then, were they? Especially not commercially.
No.
But anyway, they
people still got scurvy.
People
we hadn't mastered heavier than air flight.
Jesus Christ! Yeah. People got sent here, and the article said that the Australian accent was born out of them being constantly drunk. So the Australian accent is essentially a drunk English one.
I think even if that's not true, that's something we'll own. Knowing Australia as well as I do, I think we'll even sell it. We'll give it a day. Yeah. The accent day where everyone just gets pissed. It'll be our St. Patrick's Day.
It'll be another day off or something. Yeah,
probably. I'm actually the first person. It's strange. I'm the first person in my family to have an Australian accent, and what's interesting, and my mother will hate me for saying this, but she was always very critical of the way I pronounce certain words, because she, especially words like time that have an I, which a lot of Australians put an O into, so like time. So like, I know when I was younger and lived on the coast, I had a much more kind of drawly, coasty accent, and she used to pick up on things all the time, and she'd repeat it in this really condescending way. So it'd sort of be like, oh, do we have time for that? And she'd be like, time? Like, holy shit, Mum.
You're bullied by your own mother for your accent.
Then she beat the shit out of me. It was,
Only sometimes.
I don't think about it much anymore.
But that brings me quite nicely to the first point. Well, the first point, I guess, was the beware of the confusing shortenings. But another point about culture, really, the drinking culture.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoys a drink. The Brits are quite famous for abusing alcohol, or
Scots. The Scots are who I am,
and the Irish.
I'm Scots Welsh. I'm destined to.
Well, the Welsh can't handle their booze, is what I've noticed. But I only know two of them. The sale of alcohol here. I've had to, twice I've come here, worked in hospitality, I've had to take what they call an RSA, responsible sale of alcohol. You have to pay yourself to take a test to prove that you can sell alcohol responsibly, and there are extremely stringent rules.
Huge fines too.
Huge fines if you serve anyone who is already drunk, which is actually quite hard to tell.
For anyone, it is because Australians all seem a bit drunk anyway.
But because of the accent.
For for any overseas people listening overseas, the fines. I think they might have just recently changed, so they've come down a little bit. But the fines for an establishment serving an intoxicated person, if liquor licensing is on site, was about $50,000, and there was a huge fine as well for.
Which is about £30,000, I suppose.
Yeah,
slightly less, maybe.
Yeah, £25,000 to £30,000, depending on what's happening with the eurozone at the moment. It keeps fluctuating.
Bugger all, yeah. It's gone down quite a lot because of the referendum. For example, the weirdest one there's different rules depending on state as well. Queensland and New South Wales will have different rules. The best one was no serving doubles, which shocked me completely, because if you buy a drink in London, in most establishments, you will be served a double without being asked. You have to specify for a single.
Yeah. 30 mils or 3 centilitres for...
It's crazy. And the wine,
Europeans.
If you order a glass of wine out here, they give you a standard one. There's one size, whereas in England there's 2, maybe even 3 if you go to a full place. And it's absolutely tiny. And it's twice as much.
150, I think.
150 mil. And 175 mil is a small glass of wine in England.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So you be aware of that. It's also ridiculously expensive. Booze. There's a lot of...
Syntaxes, yeah, we colloquially refer them as syntaxes, yeah. Not syntax.
The sentence structure.
Syntaxes. Cigarettes are a big one. Cigarettes are
extortionate as well.
Yeah, if you think in England they're full on. In Australia, cigarettes are basically considered to be the devil. Like, we don't even have, most people, well, Australians will know this, but foreigners won't, that we actually don't have branding on cigarettes anymore. They're all the same colour, the same general design. All of them have to have the same font they picked. And they went through this big, probably a multi-million-dollar study to figure out which was the least desirable colour, which was like olive green. the least desirable font, which I think was just Helvetica or something like that. So everything's exactly the same. Look it up if you have a chance. Just look at Australian cigarette packets. They all look identical.
And the people in the shops can never find them because they're in drawers hidden away like vaults.
I would be so much more productive if we didn't have plain packaging, because the amount of time I'd save just with people not being able to find my cigarettes would be... It is
kind of crazy. So yeah, the booze rules are kind of crazy. No shots after 10 p.m. I mean, I don't know who wants a shot before 10 p.m. Start the night out with a couple of shots, a couple of Jaeger bombs.
Yeah. Just for lunch.
No sculling, which is downing, I suppose you call it in England. So you're not really allowed to do that. No jugs after 10 p.m. So you know, to get drunk, you have to do a lot of pre-drinking, and also they're very wary of having intoxicated people in their establishment because of the fines.
Well, that's the thing is
people have been thrown out for laughing.
The issue of pre-drinking is, I mean, it's something Australians have done forever, but not to the extent they're doing it now, and it's become now the government's actually taking notice of people who pre-drink, and it's like people wouldn't be pre-drinking as much as they are if it was easy to go out and have a drink.
Yeah,
so they're pre-drinking because it's just so restrictive that there's not much point going out anymore, especially now that, you know, Sydney's introduced lockout laws, Brisbane's about to introduce lockout laws. So essentially your entertainment precinct will stop about 1 in the morning. 12 o'clock, 1 in the morning, everything's gone.
I think a few are slightly later, 3.
Casinos generally.
Casinos, yeah.
Because they pay a lot of taxes. So.
Well, you know, Australia loves taxes. Speaking of price, a lot of things very expensive. They usually are far more expensive, especially with the exchange rate. So, yeah, you've got to be prepared to pay a lot more for normal things and do the very British thing of ridiculing and laughing and shouting about how expensive it is while you're paying.
While you're handing your money over.
While they're handing money over, yeah.
Goodness.
Oh, that's ridiculous. As you give them the money.
Yeah.
So I think that's covered quite a few of the main things. We'll cover some more of the jovial pitfalls in the second half. There's quite a few things that you get told, I think, before you come out that we all know aren't really true. But
yeah, good and bad, I imagine.
Well, we'll see you in a bit. Well, welcome back to our random chat about Australia.
Random chat.
Well, at least I didn't discuss AIDS or Syria in the second intro there. But we're going to discuss a few different things that you hear.
Bone cancer.
Bone cancer.
No, we're not going to talk about.
Oh yeah, cancer. No, that was on the off list, wasn't it?
That was the B list.
In case we ran out of things, just throw some bone cancer.
The big C list.
Oh, very good. Well, that's going to bring me to something else. Mm-hmm. The C word.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Which I'm not going to say.
No.
Because
absolutely not.
It's fucking ridiculous. But it's far more colloquial out here.
It's
It's getting there in England. It's not really that insulting anymore, especially with the way English people swear. I think they get away with it because it's usually in jest. You can tell by the tone. But here it's just I don't think a day's gone by where I haven't heard it.
Yeah, it's far more common than it used to be. I don't know whether it's like a generational thing, but I know when I was a kid it wasn't bandied about as much. Like you didn't hear it.
Not by your mother when she heard your accent.
Oh no, certainly not. I don't think I've ever. I think I've heard her use the term C word. Like
my father's called me one before for not making him a gin and tonic. Reasonable.
Yeah. Well,
very reasonable.
In England, that's reasonable for sure.
Well, Tom's get it himself. We'll talk about a bit of the fake ones here, the fake things you hear.
Well, I mean, the obvious one would be drop bears.
I was going to bring up drop bears.
Yeah. See, I heard this. We thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, drop bears, for people that don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, are similar to koala bears, but they live in the trees, and they drop down and scratch your face. Is that correct?
Yes, they are.
Which, by the way, they don't exist.
No, you basically any campsite, places you're going to find a lot of tourists. You are going to.
You will hear it.
You encounter a drop bear.
I've been told about them at least 3 times.
I guess it's sort of our equivalent of the. Durian? Are they durians? The fruit in Asia that can fall on your head and kill you. Yeah. Except those actually exist.
They do exist. Drop bears are kind of fake, but they're fully fake actually. But they there's quite funny ones I was always told. Well, as factually correct this is, but the koala bears have not all of them, but they have chlamydia in their eyes. I believe this is the fact. They're in their tear ducts.
I can't verify that off the top of my head. I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's in tear ducts, but apparently they have it in their eyes.
I know that they're always just fucking lit.
Yeah.
Because they get high off eucalyptus leaves.
That's why they look so crazy.
They're just really, really relaxed.
Well, I remember when I first came here and I drove from Sydney up to Brisbane, and I called my mother at home and told her that I was going to Koala Sanctuary.
Is that the one just
down the road.
Yeah, I know the one you're in.
And she said, she upgraded it slightly. She said, "Oh, be careful, all the koalas got AIDS." Which doesn't bring us nicely back round to AIDS. But
did she think you were going to have sex with the koalas?
I don't know what she thought, but she told me
it's a sexually transmitted disease.
So it's chlamydia, but apparently if they scratch their eyes and scratch you, it can be passed on.
What sort of person does she think you are, Joseph?
Bestiality.
Like, Joseph's going to be around a bunch of koalas if he doesn't get AIDS when he's
She knows me too well, mate.
Yeah.
There's a few other things. I don't know if you've got any fake stories that Australians try to freak out visitors. I mean, they don't need to. This place is full of spiders. That is one that's very true. The spiders are absolutely everywhere, and they are massive. But they're generally static. I'm very rarely seen one move.
Yeah, like huntsmen. The most common one you'll find is the huntsman, and they're actually quite harmless. They just eat.
I've only seen one.
They're quite cool. I mean,
They are fucking massive.
We do have redbacks, but I've lived in Australia for almost 35 years now, and I think I've seen maybe 2 or 3 redbacks in my life, but I've lived in largely urban areas. So
yeah, you don't see them much in urban. So I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I don't see them too much. They are quite funny to freak people out there because they're usually just dangling above your head. The webs. The spiders are quite smart, aren't they? They put them above general people's height. You're not going to walk through a web very much like you do in London. You walk through webs all the time. If you go into people's houses.
I found that English spider webs are soft.
Soft against the skin.
Australian spider webs are like fishing line. They're just like twang, tong.
They
You
are
walk
fucking
through
robust,
it, and like
yeah.
it'll slice your skin open. It's crazy.
They are.
Did I just invent a new one? They won't actually literally slice your skin open, but they feel.
But you're going to tell people.
They're taught. I will.
Yeah.
From now on, I'm going to get on every message board.
Fuck drop bears, mate.
It's like, oh mate, fucking, I had a mate who he lost 4 fingers going through a spider web on his push bike, on his pushy. He was on his pushy. Fucking went through a spider web. Lost 4 of his fucking fingers, eh?
I think it was all exacerbated by Steve Irwin.
So now we call him Stumpy.
You know, there's pictures of Steve Irwin holding up a snake. This fucker can kill 500 men.
Yeah.
Let's go and poke it with a stick.
Yeah,
that kind of shit.
Yeah.
That was an awful Australian accent, wasn't it?
Oh, it's alright. It was fine.
It's getting worse.
I wasn't offended.
Well,
then again, I don't really remember being offended at any time in my life, so...
Wow.
I'm probably not the best yardstick in that regard. But...
Well, it's because you're a Stumpy.
Yeah, Stumpy!
Too many spider webs.
Mate,
possums? Possums and menaces?
Stumpy can play a mean guitar, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Just fucking with his one finger. Just boing.
Surely be better at drums. But yeah, possums are all over the place. They're generally chill.
Right.
Unless you get a bit of a possum fight. A posse.
They will, if you feed them once, they will never go away.
Yeah,
Possums,
don't feed them. When they drop out of the trees, if you're walking through a park at night, that's quite creepy because they're bigger than everything's bigger. That's one thing in here.
Yeah,
everything is a lot bigger than it is in England. I remember last time I was here.
Kangaroos are just large squirrels
with the biggest testicles of any animal I've ever seen.
Even the females.
Yeah, and they just lie there on the back with just splayed legs.
Check it out.
They are.
Check me out.
just doing their little paws on it.
I've got 42 children.
They probably do. Do they do pack mentality? Or is it just like the seals? There's like one big fat one in the middle.
There's always a sort of a leader,
an alpha male.
Yeah.
Well, your babies are called Joeys, aren't they?
Yep.
That's I get called Joey sometimes. God knows why.
What are you saying? I'm the alpha of this thing.
You're slightly taller.
You
sit on the back with your legs splayed.
Man, I'm gender neutral. I can just go either way.
Is it? What's that? Gender neutral? Pansexual? Is it?
No, I'm not. I don't like humans enough to engage in that sort of behaviour.
Misanthropic.
Yeah, pretty much.
No misogynist here. I just hate everyone.
Humans make me flaccid.
Oh God. Come on, back on track, Harry. What were we talking about?
I have no idea. Fuck. We were talking about rumours.
Yes, Australia rumours. I don't know if you've got any to add, really. I've any more advice for any visitors. Apart from everything's expensive, you have to be careful when you're drinking. Drop bears aren't real. Spiders are huge, but they're generally flaccid. That's not what I meant. Placid. Okay. I'm gonna stop mixing my words up.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've got much more to add, really. It does get fucking hot.
It does, yeah.
I'll give you that.
This summer has gone on for about 5 months.
It started to cool down now, and I say cool down, it's like 28.
Yeah, it's we're still getting nights with an apparent temperature of 25 degrees, and it's the middle of April. I mean, even Australians are just sort of going, I'm sick of this.
Bored of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. The weather forecasts are actually terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's promised rain for like 5 days, and I haven't seen any.
It just hasn't, yeah.
So they don't really get that right. So don't be disheartened if you look and it says storms for 5 days, because you'll probably get an hour. It's not like England where it will rain for 5 days, like dribble.
What's the subtropics? It's really unpredictable.
Yeah.
I could be a weather forecaster here. I'd be pretty, like, 50-50 every day. Yeah.
What they quite like is they put a cloud with the sun peeking out and rain.
Yeah.
So they've just got it covered.
They should just throw snow on there as well. Just sort of,
there was some snow in New South Wales, was there not?
But Queensland, I think the last time it snowed in Queensland was before I was born. So
you travelled to England, seen some snow?
Well, I was caught in a blizzard in Tasmania.
Oh yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was. That was fun. The locals looked at me like I was insane because I was just running around in this blizzard, just having a ball, and the park rangers drove past, going, "Cheers, fucking gun out." There you go. Busted it out.
Well, we've only had 25 minutes of this, and you've already said it.
Yep, I know.
Terrible. Final bit of advice, Hamish. Anything for anyone coming here?
Look, not really. It's
kind of a fun place.
It's
People
big.
Are fairly.
That's
huge.
What I'll say. It is big.
People think they can drive from Brisbane to Cairns, which makes me laugh quite a lot.
Yeah.
Which you can, obviously, but I mean, you're going to have to stop.
The concept of for a British person a long journey is from, say, Edinburgh to London,
it's
which
ridiculous.
by train is 6 hours.
No one ever does it. It's just fly.
6 hours is a day trip in Australia. If you want to go to Byron Bay from Brisbane, you'd be looking at maybe four. Oh no, actually
It's
Byron
not that
Bay's
long,
about
is it?
2.
Yeah.
But it's 4 there and back.
It's a 4 hour round trip. That's a long day. But when someone says, "Oh yeah, it's around the corner,"
Yeah.
you're getting in the car.
Look, around the corner. Yeah, around the corner could mean 500 meters down the road, or it could mean a 3 hour drive. So we consider the Gold Coast in Brisbane. The Gold Coast is down the road, and that's an hour to get to the beach. So,
Well, I live in England. When I lived there, I was probably, if not the furthest from the sea, very close to the village that is the most landlocked, and it's 2.5 hours.
yeah,
And that's the furthest you can be away from it from a coast.
yeah.
In the UK, not that you'd want to go to UK beaches, although there are some very lovely ones. They're usually down in Cornwall.
Yeah, you've
some
got to
great
deal with,
ones in Scotland.
You've got to deal with a strange accent if you go to Cornwall. Yeah, I went to the beach in Aberdeen, which was, admittedly, it was December, so it was very cold, but it was lovely. It was sandy. It was it was a really, really nice piece of the world.
You get that deceptive sun in England,
Yeah.
where you look outside and you're like, oh,
It's bright.
it's bright, it's sunny, and you walk
very
out
cold.
and it's about 1 degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes it worse, that sun. You're like, oh, I've been tricked.
Yeah.
Whereas here, you get what you see.
When you see the sun, you know it's going to be hot, and you're going to end up having things cut out of you, as I'm undergoing at the moment, which is fun.
Well, everyone's got skin cancer.
Well,
And there we go.
There we go.
And circle back to some cancer again.
finished on cancer tonight,
We started on Syria
and finished on cancer.
with a little trip to bone cancer on
As a
that.
lot of people do, we finished on cancer. Next time we'll talk about something way more positive, I promise.
What's wrong with war and then Australia? We're calling Australia negative.
Well,
Anyway, definitely come visit. It's a great place. We've, as I've said, we've done wonders for the tourism board.
I think this is better than any campaign they've come up
Yeah, if this came on the TV, people would be here.
with. Yeah, fuck Lara Bingle. Who the fuck's Lara Bingle?
No, there's tourism all the way down.
Fuck that shit. See you next time.
Bye.